A little black girl named Mia shares her sandwich with a white homeless man named John, showing him kindness in a moment when he needed it most. What Mia doesn't realize is that her small act of compassion will lead to consequences far beyond what anyone could have imagined. So, how does Mia's kindness transform the situation? And what surprising turn of events does it lead to? Stick around to find out. But before we dive into the story, comment below where you're watching from today. And if you enjoy this tale, don't forget to subscribe. In the heart of a bustling city, nestled between towering buildings and busy streets, lay a small, close-knit community that felt like a world of its own. It was here that 8-year-old Mia and her mother, Angela, called home. Their modest apartment, though small, was filled with warmth and love that seemed to radiate from every corner. Mia was a bright-eyed, curious little girl with a smile that could light up even the gloomiest of days. Her dark curly hair bounced with every step she took, and her laughter echoed through the hallways of their apartment building. Angela, a hardworking single mother, devoted every ounce of her energy to providing for her daughter and ensuring she had the best life possible. Their home was a testament to their bond. Walls adorned with Mia's colorful drawings, shelves lined with well-loved books, and a small kitchen where they spent evenings cooking together. Despite the challenges they faced, their love for each other made their little world feel complete. One sunny afternoon, as the school bell rang, signaling the end of another day, Mia bounded out of the building with her usual enthusiasm. Her backpack bounced against her back as she made her way to the nearby park where she often played before heading home. The park was her favorite place, a little oasis of green amidst the concrete jungle. As Mia skipped along the familiar path, her eyes fell upon a figure she hadn't seen before. Sitting on a bench near the playground was an older man, his clothes tattered and worn, his beard unkempt. He sat hunched over, eyes cast down, seemingly lost in thought. Even from a distance, Mia could sense a sadness about him that tugged at her heart. Curiosity piqued, Mia slowed her pace, observing the man more closely. As she drew nearer, she could hear the faint rumbling of his stomach. Without hesitation, Mia reached in her backpack and pulled out the sandwich her mother had packed for her afternoon snack. It was her favorite, peanut butter and jelly. But as she looked at the hungry man, she knew what she had to do. Taking a deep breath, Mia approached the bench. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The man looked up, startled by the small voice addressing him. His blue eyes, though tired, held a gentleness that immediately put Mia at ease. "Yes, little one," he responded, his voice hoarse from disuse. Mia held out her sandwich, a shy smile on her face. "I thought you might be hungry. Would you like my sandwich?" The man's eyes widened in surprise, then softened with emotion. He hesitated, looking from the sandwich to the kind-hearted little girl standing before him. "That's very kind of you," he said, "but I couldn't take your food. Don't you need it?" Mia shook her head, her curls bouncing. "I had a big lunch at school," she fibbed, not wanting him to feel bad. "Please take it. My mom always says sharing is caring." The man's tired face cracked into a smile, revealing a warmth that had been hidden beneath layers of hardship. Slowly, he reached out and accepted the sandwich. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with gratitude. "What's your name, young lady?" "I'm Mia," she replied, beaming. "What's yours?" "John," he answered, unwrapping the sandwich with reverence. "You know, Mia, you've just made me very happy." Mia sat down on the bench next to John, her legs swinging as they dangled above the ground. "Why are you out here all alone?" she asked innocently. John took a small bite of the sandwich, savoring it. "Sometimes life takes unexpected turns," he explained gently. "But kindness like yours makes it a little easier." They sat in comfortable silence for a few moments, John eating the sandwich while Mia watched the other children play. As he finished, John turned to Mia with a grateful smile. "You're a very special girl, Mia," he said. "Never lose that kindness in your heart. It can change the world." Mia nodded solemnly, taking his words to heart. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, she knew it was time to head home. "I have to go now," she said, standing up. "Will you be okay?" John nodded, his eyes twinkling. "Thanks to you, I'm better than I've been in a long time. Take care, Mia." With a final wave, Mia set off towards home, her heart light and her step bouncy. She couldn't wait to tell her mother about her new friend. As Mia entered their apartment, the aroma of her mother's cooking filled the air. Angela was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of simmering stew. She looked up as Mia burst through the door, immediately noticing the extra spring in her daughter's step. "Hey, sweetheart," Angela greeted, wiping her hands on her apron. "How was your day?" Mia's face lit up. "Mom, you won't believe what happened." Angela raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her daughter's excitement. "Oh, what's got you so worked up?" Mia launched into her story, words tumbling out in a rush. "There was this man in the park, Mom. He looked so sad and hungry. I gave him my sandwich and we talked, and his name is John, and he said I made him happy." Angela's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. She knelt down to Mia's level, placing her hands gently on her daughter's shoulders. "Mia, honey, you gave your sandwich to a stranger?" Mia nodded enthusiastically. "Yes. He was so grateful, Mom. You should have seen his smile." Angela bit her lip, torn between pride in her daughter's kindness and worry about her safety. "Sweetheart, that was very generous of you, but we need to talk about being careful around strangers." Mia's smile faltered slightly. "But Mom, John wasn't scary. He was just hungry and alone." Angela sighed, pulling Mia into a hug. "I know you have a big heart, baby. That's one of the things I love most about you. But not everyone in the world is as kind as you are. We need to be careful." Mia nodded against her mother's shoulder, not fully understanding, but trusting her mother's wisdom. Angela pulled back, looking into her daughter's eyes. "Promise me you'll be more careful, okay? If you see someone who needs help, come tell me first. We can figure out how to help together." "I promise, Mom," Mia said solemnly. Angela smiled, ruffling Mia's curls. "That's my girl. Now, how about you help me set the table for dinner?" As they moved around the kitchen together, Angela couldn't help but marvel at her daughter's compassion. Despite the challenges they faced, she knew she was raising a child with a heart of gold. Yet, as a mother, she couldn't shake the nagging worry about the potential dangers of the world. That night, as Angela tucked Mia into bed, she sat on the edge of the mattress, stroking her daughter's hair. "Mia, I want you to know that I'm proud of you for wanting to help others. It's a beautiful quality." Mia beamed up at her mother. "Really?" Angela nodded. "Really? But remember, we have to be smart about how we help. There are ways to be kind and stay safe at the same time." "Like what?" Mia asked, her curiosity piqued. "Well," Angela began, "we could volunteer at the local soup kitchen together, or donate clothes and food to shelters. That way, we're helping people who need it, but in a safe environment." Mia's eyes lit up. "Can we do that, Mom? Can we?" Angela laughed softly. "Of course we can, sweetheart. We'll look into it this weekend, okay?" Mia nodded eagerly, snuggling deeper into her blankets. As Angela leaned down to kiss her goodnight, Mia whispered, "Mom?" "Yes, baby. Do you think John will be okay?" Angela paused, considering her words carefully. "I hope so, sweetie. Your kindness probably meant more to him than you know. But remember, there are people whose job it is to help folks like John. We can pray for him and hope that he finds the help he needs." Satisfied with this answer, Mia closed her eyes, drifting off to sleep with thoughts of her encounter still swirling in her mind. Angela quietly left the room, gently closing the door behind her. She leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath. The challenges of single parenthood weighed heavily on her shoulders, but moments like these, seeing the pure, untainted kindness in her daughter's heart, made it all worthwhile. As she moved through their small apartment, tidying up before bed, Angela's mind wandered to the homeless man in the park. She couldn't help but wonder about his story, what circumstances had led him to that bench. It was a stark reminder of how fragile life could be, how quickly circumstances could change. She thought about her own struggles, the long hours at work, the constant juggling of bills, the sacrifice of her own dreams to provide for Mia. Yet, they had a roof over their heads, food on the table, and most importantly, they had each other. In that moment, Angela felt a surge of gratitude for what they did have, rather than focusing on what they lacked. Settling onto the couch with a cup of tea, Angela pulled out her worn notebook. In it, she kept a running list of goals, dreams, and ideas for their future. Tonight, she added a new item: find ways to give back to the community with Mia. As she wrote, Angela felt a renewed sense of purpose. She may not be able to change the world, but she could nurture the compassion in her daughter's heart, guiding it to flourish in safe and meaningful ways. Together, they could make a difference, no matter how small. With a contented sigh, Angela closed her notebook and finished her tea. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but also new opportunities for growth and kindness. As she headed to bed, she sent up a silent prayer for Mia, for herself, and for John, the stranger in the park who had unknowingly touched their lives. In the quiet of the night, as both mother and daughter slept peacefully, the seeds of compassion planted that day began to take root, promising to bloom into something beautiful in the days to come. The morning sun peeked through the curtains of Mia and Angela's apartment, casting a warm glow across the small living room. It was Saturday, and the air was filled with the promise of a relaxing weekend. Angela bustled about the kitchen, preparing breakfast while Mia sat at the table, her legs swinging as she hummed a cheerful tune. "What do you want to do today, sweetie?" Angela asked, placing a plate of scrambled eggs in front of her daughter. Mia's eyes lit up. "Can we go to the park again? Maybe we'll see John." Angela hesitated, remembering their conversation from the night before. "We'll see, honey. Let's focus on breakfast for now, okay?" As they ate, Angela couldn't shake the nagging worry in the back of her mind. She was about to suggest they spend the day at home when a sharp knock at the door startled them both. Who could that be? Angela wondered aloud, wiping her hands on a dish towel as she made her way to the door. When she opened it, her heart skipped a beat. Two police officers stood in the hallway, their expressions serious. "Good morning, ma'am," the taller officer said, his voice deep and authoritative. "I'm Officer Johnson, and this is my partner, Officer Rodriguez. Are you Angela Thompson?" Angela nodded, her mouth suddenly dry. "Yes, that's me. Is everything all right?" Officer Johnson's gaze softened slightly. "We'd like to speak with you and your daughter, Mia. It's regarding an incident that occurred yesterday evening." Angela's protective instincts kicked in immediately. She glanced back at Mia, who was watching the scene unfold with wide, curious eyes. "Of course," Angela said, her voice tight. "Please come in." As the officers entered the small apartment, Angela called out, "Mia, honey, can you come here, please?" Mia approached cautiously, her usual bouncy step replaced by a hesitant shuffle. She looked up at the towering officers, a mix of awe and apprehension on her face. Officer Rodriguez knelt down to Mia's level, her voice gentle. "Hi, Mia. I'm Officer Rodriguez. We just want to ask you a few questions about yesterday. Is that okay?" Mia nodded slowly, her hand reaching for her mother's. Angela squeezed it reassuringly. "Why don't we all sit down?" Angela suggested, leading them to the living room. She and Mia settled on the couch, while the officers took seats in the adjacent armchairs. Officer Johnson cleared his throat. "Mia, we understand you met a man in the park yesterday. Can you tell us about him?" Mia's face brightened. "Oh, you mean John? He was sitting on the bench, and he looked really hungry, so I gave him my sandwich." The officers exchanged glances. "That was very kind of you, Mia," Officer Rodriguez said. "Can you remember what John looked like?" As Mia began to describe John, Angela's mind raced. Why were the police interested in this man? Had something happened? Her grip on Mia's hand tightened unconsciously. "He had gray hair and a scruffy beard," Mia was saying, "and his clothes were kind of dirty, but his eyes were really kind, like Grandpa's." Officer Johnson nodded, jotting notes in a small pad. "Did John say anything to you, Mia? Did he tell you where he was from or where he was going?" Mia shook her head. "No, we just talked about the sandwich and how sharing is important. He told me I was special and that I should always be kind." Angela couldn't contain her worry any longer. "Officers, what's this all about? Has something happened to John?" The officers shared another look before Officer Johnson spoke. "Ma'am, the man Mia met, who we believe is named John, was found unconscious in the park later yesterday evening. He's currently in the hospital." Angela gasped, her free hand flying to her mouth. Mia looked up at her mother, confusion etched on her young face. "Is John okay, Mommy?" Mia asked, her voice small. Before Angela could respond, Officer Rodriguez interjected gently. The doctors are taking good care of him, Mia. We're just trying to understand what happened. But why are you asking Mia about this? Angela demanded, her protective instincts flaring. She's just a child who showed kindness to someone in need. Officer Johnson held up a placating hand. We understand, Mrs. Thompson. We're not accusing anyone of anything. We're simply trying to piece together John's movements yesterday. Mia's interaction with him is the last confirmed sighting we have before he was found. As the officers continued to ask questions, Angela's mind whirled. She felt a confusing mix of emotions: concern for John's well-being, worry about Mia's involvement, and a growing unease about the situation as a whole. Mia, for her part, answered the officers' questions with innocence and honesty. She recounted her conversation with John in detail, her face lighting up as she described how happy he seemed after she shared her sandwich. Did John seem sick or injured when you met him, Mia? Officer Rodriguez asked. Mia shook her head emphatically. No, he just looked tired and hungry. But he smiled a lot after we talked. As the questioning wound down, Officer Johnson turned to Angela. Mrs. Thompson, we appreciate your cooperation. We may need to follow up with you in the coming days. Here's my card if you remember anything else that might be relevant. Angela took the card numbly, her mind still processing everything that had happened. As she showed the officers out, she couldn't shake the feeling that their lives had somehow shifted, though she couldn't quite grasp how or why. Closing the door behind the officers, Angela leaned against it, taking a deep breath. When she turned back to the living room, she found Mia looking up at her, worry clouding her usually bright eyes. Mommy, did I do something wrong? Mia asked, her voice quavering. Angela's heart clenched. She knelt down, pulling Mia into a tight hug. No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong. You were kind and generous, just like we've always taught you to be. As she held her daughter, Angela's mind raced. How could she explain the situation to Mia? How could she protect her from the complexities of a world that sometimes punished kindness? Is John going to be okay? Mia mumbled into Angela's shoulder. Angela pulled back, looking into Mia's eyes. I hope so, honey. The doctors are taking care of him. We can pray for him, okay? Mia nodded solemnly. Can we visit him in the hospital? Angela hesitated. We'll see, sweetie. For now, why don't we finish our breakfast? As they returned to the kitchen, the cheerful mood of earlier had evaporated, replaced by a tense silence. Angela tried to maintain a calm demeanor for Mia's sake, but inside, her thoughts were in turmoil. The rest of the morning passed in a haze. Angela found herself constantly checking her phone, half expecting another call from the police. Mia was uncharacteristically quiet, her usual weekend exuberance dampened by the morning's events. It wasn't until early afternoon that Angela realized they couldn't stay cooped up in the apartment forever. Mia, honey, she called, why don't we go for a walk? Get some fresh air? Mia perked up slightly at the suggestion. As they stepped out of their building, Angela noticed Mrs. Gonzalez, their elderly neighbor, watching them from her window. The old woman's gaze felt heavy with curiosity and something else. Was it judgment? As they walked down the street, Angela couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were following them. At the corner store, Mr. Chun, the owner, greeted them with his usual warmth, but there was a questioning look in his eyes. Everything okay, Angela? He asked as she paid for a bottle of water. Saw some police at your building this morning. Angela forced a smile. Everything's fine, Mr. Chun. Just a misunderstanding. But as they left the store, she heard the whispered conversations start up behind them. News traveled fast in their tight-knit community, and Angela realized with a sinking feeling that the police visit was already becoming neighborhood gossip. They made their way to a small playground a few blocks from their apartment. As Mia ran to the swings, Angela sat on a nearby bench, her mind still swirling with worry. She watched as a group of mothers huddled together, throwing furtive glances in her direction. One of the mothers, Sarah, whom Angela knew from PTA meetings, broke away from the group and approached her. Hey, Angela, she said, her voice a mix of concern and curiosity. Is everything all right? We heard there was some trouble. Angela sighed, realizing she couldn't avoid the conversation. There's no trouble, Sarah. Mia helped a homeless man in the park yesterday, and the police had some questions about him. Sarah's eyes widened. A homeless man? Oh my, was Mia okay? Was he dangerous? No, no, Angela said quickly. Mia was fine. She just shared her sandwich with him. He was kind to her. Sarah looked relieved, but Angela could see the wheels turning in her head. Still, you can never be too careful these days. Maybe you should keep a closer eye on Mia when you're out. Angela felt a flash of irritation. Mia is perfectly safe. She did a kind thing for someone in need. As Sarah rejoined her group, Angela could hear the whispers start up again. She caught fragments of their conversation. Dangerous, irresponsible, poor child. The judgment in their voices made Angela's chest tighten. She wanted to stand up and shout at them, to defend Mia's innocence and kindness. But she knew it would only make things worse. On the swings, Mia seemed oblivious to the adult drama unfolding around her. She pumped her legs, soaring higher and higher, her face split in a wide grin. For a moment, Angela envied her daughter's ability to find joy in the simple things, even in the midst of confusion and worry. As the afternoon wore on, more people approached Angela. Some, like old Mr. Johnson from down the street, were supportive. "You're raising a fine girl there, Angela," he said, his eyes twinkling. "The world needs more kindness, not less." But others were less understanding. Mrs. Peterson, the self-appointed neighborhood watch captain, cornered Angela as they were leaving the playground. "Angela, dear," she began, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "I hope you'll be more careful in the future. We can't have our children associating with those types of people. It sets a bad example." Angela felt her temper flare. "Those types of people? You mean human beings who have fallen on hard times?" "I think the example Mia set was beautiful. She saw someone in need and helped. Isn't that what we should all do?" Mrs. Peterson's face reddened. But before she could respond, Angela took Mia's hand and walked away, her head held high. As they made their way home, Angela's mind was a whirlwind of emotions. She was proud of Mia's kindness, worried about the repercussions of their involvement with John, and angry at the judgmental attitudes of some of their neighbors. "Mommy," Mia's voice broke through her thoughts. Why did Mrs. Peterson look so mad? Angela sighed, trying to find the right words. "Some people, honey, have a hard time understanding kindness when it's given to strangers. But that doesn't mean we stop being kind. It just means we have to be brave in our kindness." Mia nodded, seeming to mull this over. "I'm glad I gave John my sandwich," she said after a moment, "even if it made some people mad." Angela felt a surge of pride. "I'm glad you did too, sweetheart. You did the right thing." As they climbed the stairs to their apartment, Angela's phone buzzed with a text. It was from her best friend, Letitia. "Girl, what's going on? Heard about the police. You okay? Call me." Angela groaned inwardly. The news had spread even further than she'd thought. She knew she'd have to call Letitia later and explain everything. Inside their apartment, Angela felt a wave of relief wash over her. Here, at least, they were safe from prying eyes and wagging tongues. As Mia settled in front of the TV with her coloring books, Angela retreated to the kitchen, needing a moment to collect her thoughts. She leaned against the counter, taking deep breaths. The events of the day played on a loop in her mind. The police at her door, the questioning looks from neighbors, the judgmental comments. It all felt overwhelming. But then she thought of Mia, her sweet, kind-hearted daughter who had seen nothing but a hungry person in need. In a world that often seemed cruel and uncaring, Mia had chosen kindness without hesitation. A soft knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Angela tensed, wondering if it was more police or nosy neighbors. But when she opened the door, she found Maria, their upstairs neighbor, holding a covered dish. "I heard you had a rough day," Maria said softly. "Thought you could use some comfort food. It's my abuela's enchilada recipe." Angela felt tears prick at her eyes. "Maria, thank you. You have no idea how much this means." Maria smiled warmly. "Mia's a special girl, Angela. Don't let anyone make you doubt that." What she did was beautiful. As Maria left, Angela felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Yes, there were judgmental people in the world, but there were also those who understood and appreciated true kindness. She called Mia to the kitchen, and as they sat down to share Maria's enchiladas, Angela felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would face whatever came next together, with kindness and courage. as the sun set outside their window, casting a warm glow over their small kitchen. Angela realized that Mia's simple act of sharing a sandwich had set in motion a chain of events that would challenge them. Yes, but also reaffirm their belief in the power of compassion. Whatever happened next, Angela knew one thing for certain. She would never let the world dim the light of kindness that shone so brightly in her daughter's heart. The days following the police visit passed in a blur for Angela and Mia. Life continued as usual, but there was an undercurrent of anticipation, as if they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. Angela found herself checking her phone more often than usual, half expecting another call from the police. Mia, for her part, seemed to have bounced back to her usual cheerful self. She chattered away about school and her friends, but every now and then she'd ask, "Mommy, do you think John is okay?" Angela would smile and reassure her daughter, even as her own heart clenched with worry. "I'm sure he's getting the best care, sweetie. We just have to keep him in our thoughts." It was a warm Wednesday afternoon when the knock came again. Angela had just picked Mia up from school, and they were sharing a snack at the kitchen table when the sharp rap echoed through their small apartment. Mia's eyes widened. "Is it about John?" she whispered, excitement and worry mingling in her voice. Angela squeezed her daughter's hand. "Let's find out together, okay?" As they approached the door, Angela took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever news awaited them. She opened the door to find Officers Johnson and Rodriguez standing in the hallway, their expressions unreadable. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Thompson," Officer Johnson greeted. "We have some information about John that we'd like to share with you and Mia. May we come in?" Angela nodded, stepping aside to let them enter. As they settled in the living room, Mia perched on the edge of the couch, her small hands clasped tightly in her lap. Officer Rodriguez smiled gently at Mia. "How are you doing, Mia? Have you been thinking about John?" Mia nodded vigorously. "Every day. Is he okay? Can we visit him?" The officers exchanged a glance before Officer Johnson leaned forward, his voice soft. "Mia, do you remember how kind you were to John? How you shared your sandwich with him?" Mia nodded again, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Well," Officer Johnson continued, "that act of kindness did more than just give John a meal. It helped him remember who he was." Angela gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "What do you mean?" Officer Rodriguez turned to Angela. "Mrs. Thompson, the man Mia met in the park isn't just a homeless person. His real name is Jonathan Caldwell, and he's been missing for over a year." The room fell silent as Angela and Mia processed this information. Mia was the first to speak, her voice small and confused. "But he told me his name was John." Officer Rodriguez nodded. "That's right, Mia. You see, Jonathan had lost his memory due to a traumatic event. He couldn't remember who he was or where he came from. But your kindness, your simple act of sharing your sandwich, triggered something in his mind. It helped him start to remember." Angela felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. "So, he's not homeless?" Officer Johnson shook his head. "No, Mrs. Thompson. Jonathan comes from a wealthy family in New York. They've been searching for him for over a year, never giving up hope that they'd find him." Mia's face scrunched up in confusion. "But why was he in the park? Why didn't he go home?" The officers exchanged another glance before Officer Rodriguez spoke. "Sometimes, Mia, when people go through something very scary or sad, their minds try to protect them by making them forget. That's what happened to Jonathan. But your kindness reminded him of the love and care he had in his life, and it helped him start to remember." Angela pulled Mia close, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what her daughter's simple act had set in motion. "So, what happens now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Officer Johnson smiled, the first real smile they'd seen from him. "Well, that's why we're here. Jonathan's family would like to meet you both. They want to thank Mia for helping bring their son back to them." Mia's eyes lit up. "We get to meet John's family? Can we, Mommy? Please." Angela hesitated, her protective instincts kicking in. "I don't know, it's a lot to take in." Officer Rodriguez leaned forward, her voice gentle. "Mrs. Thompson, I understand your hesitation, but I can assure you, the Caldwell family only wants to express their gratitude. They're overwhelmed by Mia's compassion and how it helped bring their son home." Angela looked down at Mia, seeing the hope and excitement shining in her daughter's eyes. She thought about all the judgment they'd faced from neighbors, the whispers and sideways glances. Maybe this was a chance to show everyone that kindness, even to strangers, could change lives. "All right," Angela said finally. "We'd be happy to meet them." The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. Angela found herself fretting over what they should wear, what they should say. Mia, on the other hand, was bursting with excitement, peppering her mother with questions about John, or Jonathan, as they now knew him, and his family. On the day of the meeting, Angela dressed Mia in her favorite yellow sundress, the one that made her dark curls shine like polished ebony. As they made their way to the park where it all began, Angela felt a mix of nervousness and anticipation swirling in her stomach. They spotted the group waiting for them near the bench where Mia had first met Jonathan. There was Jonathan himself, looking healthier and happier than when Mia had last seen him. Beside him stood a couple who could only be his parents, their faces etched with lines of worry that were now softening into relief and joy. As Angela and Mia approached, Jonathan's face broke into a wide smile. "Mia," he called out, his voice warm with recognition. "It's so good to see you again." Mia's shyness evaporated in an instant. She ran forward, stopping just short of Jonathan. Jonathan, you look so different." Jonathan knelt down to Mia's level, his eyes twinkling. "I feel different, thanks to you. You help me remember who I am, Mia. You're my hero." Mia giggled, a blush creeping up her cheeks. "I just shared my sandwich," she said softly. Jonathan's mother stepped forward then, tears glistening in her eyes. "Oh, but it was so much more than that, sweetheart." She knelt down next to Jonathan, taking Mia's small hands in hers. "Your kindness brought our son back to us. We can never thank you enough." Angela watched the scene unfold, her own eyes misty with emotion. Jonathan's father approached her, extending his hand. "Mrs. Thompson," he said, his voice thick with gratitude, "I'm Edward Caldwell. What your daughter did, it's nothing short of a miracle." Angela shook his hand, feeling overwhelmed. "Please call me Angela." And Mia, she was just being herself. She's always had a big heart. Edward nodded, a warm smile spreading across his face. "That big heart changed our lives. We'd lost hope of ever finding Jonathan. And then, out of nowhere, we get a call saying he's been found, that he's starting to remember. All because a little girl shared her sandwich." As they talked, Mia was chattering away with Jonathan and his mother, her initial shyness completely forgotten. Angela watched as her daughter's face lit up with each new detail she learned about Jonathan's life. "You have a dog?" Mia exclaimed, her eyes wide. "I've always wanted a dog." Jonathan laughed, ruffling Mia's curls. "Maybe you can come visit him sometime. I'm sure Max would love to meet the girl who helped bring me home." Jonathan's mother, who had introduced herself as Catherine, turned to Angela. "We'd love to have you both visit us in New York. It's the least we can do to show our appreciation." Angela felt a flutter of excitement at the idea, quickly followed by a pang of worry. "That's very kind of you, but I'm not sure we can afford Dash." Edward cut her off gently. "Please let us take care of everything. It would mean the world to us to be able to show you both our gratitude properly." As they continued to talk, Angela found herself relaxing. The Caldwells were warm and genuine, their gratitude palpable. She watched as Mia's face glowed with happiness, realizing that this experience was expanding her daughter's world in ways she could never have imagined. As the afternoon wore on, they all settled on a nearby picnic blanket that Catherine had thoughtfully brought along. They shared stories, laughed together, and marveled at the chain of events that had brought them all together. "You know," Jonathan said, his voice thoughtful, "when I was lost, I felt so alone. I couldn't remember who I was or where I came from. But then this little angel," he smiled at Mia, "showed me kindness when I needed it most. It was like a light in the darkness." Catherine reached out and squeezed Mia's hand. "You reminded our Jonathan that there's goodness in the world. That's what started to bring his memories back." Mia beamed, but then her face grew serious. "But why were you lost, Jonathan? What happened?" The adults exchanged glances, unsure how to explain. Finally, Jonathan spoke, his voice gentle. I had an accident, Mia. It hurt my head, and that made me forget things. But doctors are helping me now, and every day I remember more. Angela watched her daughter process this information, marveling at her capacity for understanding and empathy. Mia nodded solemnly, then threw her arms around Jonathan in a fierce hug. I'm glad you're not lost anymore, she said, her voice muffled against his shirt. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the park, Edward cleared his throat. Angela, Mia, we have something we'd like to discuss with you. Angela felt a flicker of nervousness. Oh, Catherine smiled reassuringly. It's nothing bad, I promise. We've been thinking. Jonathan's experience has shown us how important it is to help those in need. We'd like to start a foundation aimed at helping the homeless and those suffering from memory loss or mental health issues. Edward nodded, and we'd like to name it after Mia, the Mia Thompson Foundation for Compassion and Memory Recovery. Angela gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Mia's eyes widened, her mouth forming a perfect O of surprise. We'd like you both to be involved, Jonathan added. Your perspective, your compassion, they're invaluable. Of course, we understand if it's too much. Angela felt tears prickling at her eyes. She looked at Mia, seeing the mix of shock and excitement on her daughter's face. What do you think, sweetie? She asked softly. Would you like to help other people, like you helped Jonathan? Mia nodded vigorously, her curls bouncing. Yes. Can we, Mommy? Please? Angela laughed, wiping away a stray tear. Of course we can, baby. Of course we can. As they began to discuss the details, Angela felt a warmth spreading through her chest. She thought about the judgment they'd faced from neighbors, the whispers and sidelong glances. None of that mattered now. Mia's simple act of kindness had not only changed Jonathan's life, but was now going to change countless others. The sun was setting as they finally said their goodbyes, promises of future meetings and plans for the foundation hanging in the air between them. As Angela and Mia walked hand in hand back to their apartment, Mia looked up at her mother, her face glowing in the fading light. Mommy, she said, her voice filled with wonder, I'm so glad I shared my sandwich. Angela squeezed her daughter's hand, her heart full to bursting with pride and love. Me too, baby, she said softly. Me too. As they climbed the stairs to their apartment, Angela realized that their lives had changed irrevocably. The future stretched out before them, filled with possibilities she had never dared to imagine. All because her daughter had seen a hungry stranger and decided to share. Inside their small apartment, as Mia chattered excitedly about their new friends and the foundation, Angela felt a sense of peace settle over her. She knew there would be challenges ahead, knew that not everyone would understand or approve of their involvement with the Caldwells and their foundation. But she also knew, with a certainty that ran bone deep, that they were on the right path. Later that night, as she tucked Mia into bed, Angela sat on the edge of the mattress, stroking her daughter's curls. I'm so proud of you, Mia, she said softly. You've shown everyone that a small act of kindness can change the world. Mia yawned, snuggling deeper into her blankets. I just did what you always taught me, Mommy. To be kind and help people who need it. Angela leaned down and kissed Mia's forehead, her heart swelling with love. That's right, baby. And now, because of you, we're going to be able to help even more people. You've started something beautiful. As Mia drifted off to sleep, a contented smile on her face, Angela stood in the doorway, watching her daughter. She thought about the journey they'd been on, from that first encounter in the park to this moment of incredible possibility. She thought about Jonathan, reunited with his family and recovering his memories. She thought about the Caldwells, whose lives had been transformed by Mia's simple act of kindness. And she thought about all the people they would be able to help through the foundation, all because one little girl had seen a hungry stranger and decided to share. As she closed Mia's door softly, Angela felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced judgment and misunderstanding, but they had also discovered the profound impact that compassion could have. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew they would face them together, with kindness and courage. In the quiet of their small apartment, as the city settled into night outside their windows, Angela sent up a silent prayer of gratitude. For her daughter's big heart, for the unexpected friendships they had formed, and for the opportunity to make a difference in the world. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, new challenges, and new opportunities to spread kindness. But for now, in this moment, Angela savored the peace and joy that filled their home. As she prepared for better self, she couldn't help but smile, thinking of how a simple sandwich had set in motion a chain of events that would change not just their lives, but the lives of countless others. In the darkness of her room, Angela whispered a promise to herself and to Mia. They would continue to face the world with open hearts and helping hands, no matter what. Because now they knew, without a doubt, that even the smallest act of kindness could spark a revolution of compassion. As she drifted off to sleep, Angela's last thoughts were of the future, bright, full of promise, and overflowing with the potential for kindness to change the world, one small act at a time. The weeks following their meeting with the Caldwells were a whirlwind of activity for Angela and Mia. Their small apartment buzzed with a newfound energy as they began to plan their involvement with the Mia Thompson Foundation for Compassion and Memory Recovery. One sunny Saturday morning, as Angela was making breakfast, Mia bounced into the kitchen, her curls wild from sleep. "Mommy, when are we going to New York? I can't wait to meet Max." Angela laughed, flipping a pancake. "Soon, sweetie. We're just waiting for the details from the Caldwells. Remember, they have to arrange everything." Mia nodded, her face serious. "I know. I just want to help people like we helped Jonathan." Angela's heart swelled with pride. She knelt down, looking her daughter in the eye. "And we will, baby. But starting a foundation takes time. We have to be patient." As if on cue, Angela's phone buzzed with a message. It was from Catherine Caldwell. "Good morning, Angela. We've finalized the arrangements for your trip to New York. How does next weekend sound? We can't wait to show you and Mia around, and to start planning the foundation's first initiatives. Let me know if that works for you both." Angela read the message aloud to Mia, whose eyes grew wide with excitement. "Next weekend? Really? Oh, Mommy, can we go? Please." Angela hesitated for a moment. It was all happening so fast. But looking at Mia's hopeful face, she knew she couldn't say no. "All right, sweetie. We'll go to New York next weekend." Mia let out a whoop of joy, dancing around the kitchen. "We're going to New York. We're going to help people. We're going to meet Max." As Angela watched her daughter's jubilant dance, she felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. This was a big step, a leap into the unknown, but she knew, deep in her heart, that it was the right path. The week leading up to their trip passed in a blur of preparation. Angela found herself fretting over what to pack, what to wear, how to behave in the Caldwell's world. Mia, on the other hand, was a ball of excited energy, peppering her mother with questions about New York and ideas for the foundation. "Mommy, can we give sandwiches to everyone who's hungry?" Mia asked one evening as they were packing. "Like I did for Jonathan?" Angela smiled, folding a shirt. "That's a wonderful idea, sweetie. We'll definitely talk to the Caldwells about it." Finally, the day of their trip arrived. As they boarded the plane, Mia's face pressed against the window. Angela felt a thrill of anticipation. This was the beginning of something new, something bigger than she had ever imagined for herself or her daughter. The flight seemed to pass in the blink of an eye, and before they knew it, they were touching down in New York. As they exited the terminal, Angela spotted Edward Caldwell waiting for them, a warm smile on his face. "Welcome to New York," he greeted them, giving Angela a friendly handshake and Mia a gentle high five. "We're so glad you could make it." As they drove through the bustling streets of the city, Mia's eyes were wide with wonder. "Everything's so big," she exclaimed, her nose pressed against the car window. Edward chuckled. "It certainly is. But you know what, Mia? Even in a big city like this, small acts of kindness can make a huge difference. Just like what you did for Jonathan." They pulled up to a beautiful brownstone in a quiet neighborhood. As they got out of the car, the front door opened, and Catherine came out to greet them, followed closely by Jonathan and a large, friendly-looking golden retriever. "Max!" Mia squealed, her face lighting up at the sight of the dog. Jonathan laughed. "He's been excited to meet you too, Mia. I think he knows you're special." As Max bounded over to greet them, tail wagging furiously, Angela felt a wave of emotion wash over her. This was real. They were here, about to embark on a journey that would change not just their lives, but the lives of countless others. The next few days were a blur of activity. The Caldwells showed them around the city, taking them to famous landmarks and hidden gems alike. Mia was in awe of everything, from the towering skyscrapers to the street performers in Central Park. But it wasn't all sightseeing. They spent long hours discussing the foundation, brainstorming ideas, and making plans. Angela was impressed by how seriously the Caldwells took Mia's input, always listening carefully to her ideas and suggestions. You know, Catherine said one afternoon as they were discussing potential programs, "I think Mia's idea about the sandwiches is brilliant. It's simple, direct, and meaningful." Edward nodded in agreement. "We could set up sandwich stations around the city, places where people in need could get a meal, no questions asked." Mia's face lit up. "And maybe we could put nice notes in the sandwiches too, to make people feel better, like how I made Jonathan feel better." The adults exchanged glances, smiling at Mia's boundless compassion. "That's a wonderful idea, Mia," Jonathan said, ruffling her hair affectionately. As the days passed, Angela found herself relaxing more and more. The Caldwells were warm and genuine, treating her and Mia like family. She watched as Mia blossomed under their attention, her confidence growing with each passing day. One evening, as they sat on the rooftop terrace of the Caldwells' home, watching the sun set over the city skyline, Angela felt a sense of peace settle over her. She looked at Mia, who was curled up next to Jonathan, listening intently as he pointed out different buildings. Catherine came to sit beside Angela, following her gaze. "She's an extraordinary child," she said softly. Angela nodded, feeling a lump form in her throat. "She is. Sometimes I wonder how I got so lucky." Catherine placed a hand on Angela's arm. "It's not luck, Angela. It's love. You've raised her with love and compassion, and now she's sharing that with the world." As the sky darkened and the city lights began to twinkle, Edward joined them, a tablet in his hand. "I've been working on something," he said, his voice excited. "I think you'll all want to see this." He pulled up a website, the header reading the Mia Thompson Foundation for Compassion and Memory Recovery. The page was beautifully designed, featuring a photo of Mia's smiling face alongside the foundation's mission statement. "Our goal," Edward read aloud, "is to spread kindness and hope, one small act at a time. Inspired by a little girl's compassion, we aim to help those experiencing homelessness, memory loss, and mental health challenges, reminding them that they are not forgotten." Mia's eyes were wide as she looked at the website. That's me," she said softly, pointing at her photo. Jonathan knelt beside her, his voice gentle. "That's right, Mia. You're the heart of this foundation. Your kindness is going to help so many people." As they all gathered around the tablet, discussing the website and the foundation's plans, Angela felt a swell of emotion. This was so much bigger than she had ever imagined. Her little girl, who had simply wanted to help a hungry stranger, was now at the center of something that could change countless lives. The next day, they visited a local homeless shelter where the Caldwells had arranged for them to serve meals. As they donned aprons and hair nets, Mia's excitement was palpable. "Remember, sweetie," Angela said as they prepared to start serving, "everyone here deserves kindness and respect, just like Jonathan did." Mia nodded solemnly. "I know, Mommy. I'll make sure to smile at everyone and say something nice." As they began to serve, Angela watched in awe as Mia interacted with each person who came through the line. She had a kind word for everyone, her smile never faltering, her eyes shining with genuine care. "You're doing great," she told one man as she handed him a plate. "I hope you have a wonderful day." The man, who had looked downtrodden when he entered, managed a small smile in return. "Thank you, little one," he said softly. "You've brightened my day already." As the day wore on, Angela noticed a change in the atmosphere of the shelter. People who had entered with slumped shoulders and downcast eyes were leaving with straighter backs and hints of smiles. The power of Mia's simple kindness was transforming the entire room. During a break, Catherine pulled Angela aside. "Do you see what's happening?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. "Mia's changing lives, one smile at a time." Angela nodded, feeling tears prick at her eyes. She's always been like this, she said softly. I just never realized how much of an impact it could have. That evening, as they gathered for dinner at the Caldwells' home, there was a sense of excitement in the air. Edward stood up, tapping his glass to get everyone's attention. I have an announcement to make, he said, his voice filled with emotion. After seeing Mia in action today, we've made a decision. We want to open similar sandwich stations and kindness centers in cities across the country. There was a collective gasp around the table. Mia's eyes widened. Really? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jonathan nodded, reaching out to squeeze Mia's hand. Really? Your idea, your compassion, it's too powerful to keep in just one city. We want to spread it as far as we can. As the adults began to discuss logistics and plans, Mia tugged on Angela's sleeve. Mommy, she said, her voice serious. Does this mean we'll be helping even more people? Angela nodded, pulling her daughter close. Yes, baby. Thanks to you, we'll be helping people all over the country. As the evening wore on and plans continued to take shape, Angela found herself marveling at the turn their lives had taken. Just a few weeks ago, they had been living their quiet life in their small apartment. Now, they were at the heart of a movement that could change thousands of lives. Later that night, as she tucked Mia in a bed in the guest room of the Caldwells' home, Angela sat on the edge of the mattress, stroking her daughter's curls. How are you feeling, sweetie? She asked softly. It's been a big day. Mia yawned, snuggling deeper into the plush pillows. I'm happy, Mommy, she said sleepily. Happy we're helping people, like you always taught me to do. Angela leaned down and kissed Mia's forehead, her heart swelling with love and pride. You're doing more than I ever imagined, baby. You're changing the world. As Mia drifted off to sleep, a contented smile on her face, Angela stood in the doorway, watching her daughter. She thought about the journey they'd been on, from that first encounter in the park to this moment of incredible possibility. She thought about all the lives they would touch through the foundation, all because one little girl had seen a hungry stranger and decided to share. As she closed Mia's door softly, Angela felt a renewed sense of purpose. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew they would face them together, with kindness and courage. The next morning, as they gathered for breakfast, Edward had more news. I've been in touch with some contacts in other cities, he announced. We've got people interested in setting up kindness centers in Chicago, Los Angeles, and Miami to start with. Mia's eyes widened over her bowl of cereal. Wow, that's a lot of places. Catherine nodded, her eyes twinkling. And that's just the beginning. We're hoping to expand to smaller cities and towns too. Your idea is going to spread far and wide, Mia. As they discussed the plans, Angela felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. It's all happening so fast, she said softly to Jonathan, who was sitting next to her. He nodded understandingly. I know it can be overwhelming, but remember, you and Mia are the heart of this. We'll only move as fast as you're comfortable with. Their last day in New York was spent finalizing plans and preparing for their return home. As they packed their bags, Mia was uncharacteristically quiet. What's on your mind, sweetie? Angela asked, folding a shirt. Mia looked up, her eyes serious. Mommy, when we go home, will everything be different? Angela paused, considering her words carefully. Some things will be different, yes. We'll be busier, and we'll be helping more people. But the important things, our home, our love for each other, those won't change. Mia nodded, seeming satisfied with this answer. And we'll still be able to help people in our neighborhood too, right? Angela smiled, pulling Mia into a hug. Of course we will. We'll start right where we began, in our own community. As they said their goodbyes to the Caldwells, there were tears and hugs all around. Remember, Edward said as they were about to leave for the airport, you're not alone in this. We're a team now. On the flight home, as Mia dozed against her shoulder, Angela found herself reflecting on the whirlwind of the past few weeks. Their lives had changed in ways she never could have imagined, all because of a simple act of kindness. As the plane touched down in their home city, Angela felt a sense of excitement building within her. They were returning with a mission, with the power to make real change in their community and beyond. The days and weeks that followed were busy ones. Angela and Mia worked closely with the Caldwells via video calls, planning the launch of their local kindness center. They reached out to local businesses for support, scouted locations, and began recruiting volunteers. Word spread quickly in their tight-knit community. Many of the neighbors who had once whispered and judged now came forward, eager to be part of the foundation's work. Mrs. Peterson, who had been so critical before, was one of the first to volunteer. "I was wrong," she told Angela one afternoon as they were setting up the Kindness Center. "What Mia did, it was beautiful. I'm honored to be part of this." The day of the center's grand opening arrived, and Angela felt a mix of nerves and excitement as she and Mia stood before the gathered crowd. As Mia stepped up to the microphone, her face serious but her eyes shining, Angela felt a swell of pride. "Hello, everyone," Mia began, her voice clear and strong. "Thank you for coming today. We're here because we believe that kindness matters, that helping people matters, and that even the smallest act of kindness can change someone's whole world." As Mia continued to speak, sharing the story of how she met Jonathan and how it led to the foundation, Angela watched the faces in the crowd. She saw tears in many eyes, saw heads nodding in agreement, saw smiles spreading as Mia's infectious enthusiasm touched each person. When Mia finished speaking, the applause was thunderous. As they cut the ribbon to officially open the center, Angela felt a sense of accomplishment unlike anything she'd ever experienced before. In the weeks and months that followed, the impact of the Mia Thompson Foundation began to ripple outward. The Kindness Center became a beacon of hope in their community, offering not just food and basic necessities, but also a warm smile and a listening ear to anyone who needed it. Mia, despite her young age, was at the heart of it all. She spent her afternoons after school at the center, chatting with visitors, helping to prepare food, and spreading her unique brand of kindness to everyone she met. One afternoon, as they were cleaning up after a busy day at the center, Mia turned to Angela, her face thoughtful. "Mommy," she said, "do you think we're making a difference?" Angela knelt down, looking her daughter in the eye. "Sweetie, I know we are. Look at all the people we've helped, all the smiles we've seen. You've started something amazing." Mia nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "I'm glad," she said softly. "I just want everyone to feel loved, like how you make me feel loved all the time." Angela pulled Mia into a tight hug, feeling tears prick at her eyes. "Oh, baby," she whispered, "you're changing the world, one act of kindness at a time, and I couldn't be prouder." As they walked home that evening, hand in hand, Angela marveled at the journey they'd been on. From a simple sandwich shared in a park to a foundation that was spreading kindness across the country. All because her little girl had seen someone in need and decided to help. The sun was setting as they reached their apartment building, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood. As they climbed the stairs, Angela realized that while their address hadn't changed, their home had expanded. As the Mia Thompson Foundation continued to grow and flourish, Angela and Mia found themselves adapting to their new roles as community leaders and advocates for kindness. Their days were filled with a mix of ordinary moments and extraordinary opportunities to make a difference. One crisp autumn morning, as they were walking to school, Mia spotted a new face on their street, an elderly woman struggling with her groceries. Without hesitation, Mia approached her. "Excuse me, ma'am," Mia said politely. "Would you like some help with your bags?" The woman looked surprised, then grateful. "Oh, that would be lovely, dear. Thank you." As Mia carefully took one of the bags, Angela stepped forward to help with the others. They walked slowly alongside the woman, who introduced herself as Mrs. Larson. "I just moved to the neighborhood," Mrs. Larson explained. "It's been a bit overwhelming, starting over at my age." Mia's face lit up. "Don't worry, Mrs. Larson. We'll be your friends. Right, Mommy?" Angela nodded, smiling warmly. "Absolutely. Welcome to the neighborhood, Mrs. Larson. We're glad you're here." By the time they reached Mrs. Larson's apartment, Mia had already invited her to visit the Kindness Center and join them for dinner sometime. As they said goodbye, Mrs. Larson's eyes were misty. "You know," she said softly, "I was feeling quite lonely this morning, but you two have brightened my whole day. Thank you." As they continued on their way to school, Mia was quiet for a moment, then looked up at Angela. "Mommy, do you think we could start a program to help older people like Mrs. Larson, so they don't feel lonely?" Angela felt a surge of pride at her daughter's constant desire to help others. That's a wonderful idea, sweetie. Why don't we brainstorm some ideas and then we can discuss it with the Caldwells during our next video call? Mia nodded enthusiastically, her mind already whirring with possibilities. That evening, during their weekly video call with the Caldwells, Mia excitedly shared her encounter with Mrs. Larson and her idea for a new program. I was thinking, Mia said, her face serious. What if we had a buddy system, where young people could be friends with older people who might be lonely? The Caldwells exchanged impressed glances. That's a brilliant idea, Mia, Edward said. It could help bridge generational gaps and provide companionship to those who need it most. Catherine nodded in agreement. We could call it kindness across ages. What do you think, Angela? Angela, who had been listening with growing excitement, smiled warmly. I think it's perfect. Mia's always had a gift for connecting with people of all ages. Over the next few weeks, they worked on developing the Kindness Across Ages program. They reached out to local schools and retirement communities, set up a system for background checks and matching buddies, and created guidelines to ensure everyone's safety and comfort. The program launched with a festive event at the Kindness Center. Mia, wearing a bright yellow Kindness Ambassador t-shirt, moved from table to table, helping to introduce young volunteers to their new elderly buddies. As Angela watched her daughter in action, she felt a familiar swell of pride. Mia had a natural ability to put people at ease, to find common ground between the most unlikely pairs. She saw a shy teenage boy start to open up as he discovered a shared love of chess with his elderly buddy. She watched a group of giggling young girls lean in close as their new friend regaled them with stories from her youth. Mrs. Peterson, who had become one of their most dedicated volunteers, sidled up to Angela. You know, she said, her voice filled with admiration, I never would have thought a child could teach us all so much about kindness and compassion. Mia is truly something special. Angela nodded, her throat tight with emotion. She is, and she's inspiring others to be their best selves too. As the event wound down, Mia came bounding over, her face flushed with excitement. Mommy, did you see? Everyone's making new friends. Angela pulled Mia into a hug. I saw, sweetie. You've done something amazing here. That night, as they walked home under a sky full of stars, Mia was uncharacteristically quiet. Angela gave her daughter's hand a gentle squeeze. What's on your mind, baby? Mia looked up, her eyes serious in the moonlight. Mommy, do you think we're making the world better? Like really better? Angela stopped walking and knelt down to Mia's level. Sweetie, look at me, she said softly. What you've done, what we've done together, is bringing more kindness and love into the world. And that absolutely makes the world better. Mia nodded slowly, a small smile tugging at her lips. I just want everyone to be happy and not feel alone. Angela pulled Mia into a tight hug. And that's what makes you so special, baby. Your big heart is changing lives every single day. As they continued their walk home, Angela marveled at how far they'd come. From their small apartment to a foundation that was spreading kindness across the country. All because her little girl had a heart big enough to care for everyone she met. The success of the Kindness Across Ages program caught the attention of local media. One sunny morning, a reporter and cameraman from the city's news station arrived at the Kindness Center to do a feature story. Mia, initially shy in front of the camera, soon warmed up as she shared stories about the foundation and the new program. The reporter, charmed by Mia's enthusiasm and wisdom beyond her years, found herself drawn into the little girl's world of kindness and compassion. What made you want to start this foundation? The reporter asked. Mia's face grew serious. I saw someone who needed help, and I helped. That's all. I think if everyone did that, the world would be a much nicer place. The story aired that evening, and the response was immediate and overwhelming. The Kindness Center's phone began ringing off the hook with people wanting to volunteer or donate. Their website crashed due to the sudden influx of traffic. As Angela and Mia watched the replay of the news story together, curled up on their couch, Angela felt a mix of pride and apprehension. Things might get a bit busier now, sweetie, she said softly. Mia nodded, her eyes still fixed on the screen. That's okay, Mommy. As long as we're helping people, I don't mind being busy." The next few weeks were indeed a whirlwind of activity. The foundation expanded rapidly, opening new kindness centers in neighboring cities. Angela found herself juggling her job with an increasing number of foundation responsibilities. Mia, for her part, took it all in stride, her enthusiasm never wavering. One evening, as they were preparing dinner together, Mia turned to Angela with a thoughtful expression. "Mommy, do you think we could do something special for Thanksgiving? For people who don't have families to celebrate with?" Angela paused in her chopping of vegetables. "What did you have in mind, sweetie?" Mia's eyes lit up. "What if we had a big Thanksgiving dinner at the Kindness Center? We could invite anyone who wants to come, and we could all be like one big family." Angela smiled, once again amazed by her daughter's boundless compassion. "That's a wonderful idea, Mia. Let's start planning it tomorrow." The Thanksgiving event turned out to be their biggest undertaking yet. They reached out to local restaurants and grocery stores for donations, recruited an army of volunteers, and transformed the Kindness Center into a warm, welcoming dining hall. On Thanksgiving Day, Angela and Mia arrived early to help with the preparations. As they worked, setting tables and arranging decorations, Angela couldn't help but reflect on how much their lives had changed in the past year. "Penny for your thoughts?" a voice said behind her. Angela turned to see Jonathan, who had flown in with his parents to help with the event. Angela smiled, just thinking about how different things were last Thanksgiving, how one small act of kindness changed everything. Jonathan nodded, his eyes finding Mia across the room where she was carefully arranging name cards at each place setting. "She's an incredible kid, Angela. You should be proud." "I am," Angela said softly. Every single day, as guests began to arrive, Mia was in her element, greeting everyone with a warm smile and a kind word. Angela watched as her daughter moved from table to table, making sure everyone felt welcome and included. The dinner was a resounding success. The room was filled with the sounds of laughter and conversation, of new friendships being formed and old ones strengthened. As Angela looked around, she saw people from all walks of life coming together, united by the simple act of sharing a meal. Towards the end of the evening, Edward Caldwell stood up to make a toast. "A year ago," he began, his voice carrying across the now quiet room, "a little girl shared her sandwich with a stranger in the park. That act of kindness not only changed one man's life, but has gone on to touch countless others." He raised his glass, smiling at Mia. To Mia, who reminded us all of the power of compassion. And to everyone here today, for being part of this beautiful community of kindness. As applause filled the room, Angela pulled Mia close, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "I'm so proud of you, baby," she whispered. Mia looked up, her eyes shining. "I'm just doing what you taught me, Mommy, to be kind and help others." As they walked home that night, the crisp autumn air filled with the scent of fallen leaves, Angela felt a sense of contentment wash over her. Their life wasn't perfect. There were still challenges and hard days, but it was filled with purpose and love. Mia skipped alongside her, humming softly. "Mommy," she said suddenly, "do you think we'll do this again next year?" Angela smiled, squeezing Mia's hand. "I think we'll do this for many years to come, sweetie. As long as there are people who need kindness, we'll be there to give it." Mia nodded, satisfied with this answer. As they reached their apartment building, she looked up at the star-filled sky. "You know what, Mommy? I think the world is a little bit kinder now, and that makes me happy." Angela felt tears prick at her eyes as she looked down at her remarkable daughter. "You're right, baby, and it's kinder because of you." As they entered their cozy apartment, Angela knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together, with open hearts and helping hands. Because now they knew, without a doubt, that even the smallest act of kindness could change the world. What would you have done if you were in Mia's position when John's family reached out to thank her? If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing to my channel. I put a lot of time and effort into crafting these impactful narratives, and your support truly means the world to me. Thank you for being a part of this journey.